Webster describes courage as that quality of spirit which enables one to face danger or hardship with confidence and resolution. Mr. Contest Chair, ladies and gentlemen, definition does not tell us anything about the source of courage. From where does it come? I learned about the source and the meaning of courage many, many years ago from a little 10-year-old girl. Susan had just had her first baton twirling lesson. She loved her baton. And she decided she was going to become the best baton twirler in the whole country. So she took lessons and she practiced. Nor did she practice 4 hours a day. For 4 years, I watched her over my backyard fence, toiling away on my next-door neighbor's patio. And no matter how many bruises and bumps she got on the fingers and drops on the head, she rushed to pick it up with smiling determination to dominate this difficult discipline. In 1972, she was second in the state of Ohio and fourth at the national competitions. The next year could indeed be the year when she won a national championship and a college scholarship. Next spring, after a 2-week bout of spring fever, she was off and practicing. But something went wrong. She couldn't perform her tricks, dropping it. Her parents woke up one morning and heard a bumping in the hallway. Went out. It was Susan bouncing off the walls, trying to find her way to the bathroom. Her complaint? I can't see. Everything is so blurry. I can't see. They took her to an eye doctor and took one look in her eyes and said, take this young lady to St. Elizabeth Hospital. This is in Dayton, Ohio. I'm having a brain surgeon meet you there. They rushed her to the emergency ward. And for 3 weeks, they performed excruciatingly painful tests on her head to find out what was wrong. Now, I had thought that her courage on practicing was coming from her teacher, who was telling her, you have what it takes to be a national champ. Now I saw it may be coming from the constant stream of little friends by her bedside. And the only time she shed a tear was the day the national competition started without her. Susan went into a coma. At one time she was lying in a gurney waiting for another test. And a young intern who had no business doing it but had heard she was a high kicker stimulated her brain reflex. Up came her leg over her head, kicked the doctor, knocking to the floor. Finally, they found the problem. Her spring fever was about viral encephalitis. The drainage duct at the back of her head was blocked with scar tissue. Without help, Susan would go blind and she would die. Fortunately, they were able to install a shunt, a tube leading the ventral spaces out under the skin, draining into the jugular vein. Pressure relief, they gave her medication to control brain seizures, sent her home. But a month later, she had a seizure, went into another coma. They rushed her to the hospital. 3 days in intensive care waiting room, and the doctor summoned them to her bedside. Folks, I'm sorry. Your daughter's vital signs have all but disappeared. She's dying. But as they clung to each other in tears and in prayer, looking down at their comatose daughter, she suddenly sat up, said, "Hi, folks. I've been sleeping." When told she'd been in a coma, she said, "Oh my, did I kick anyone?" They changed her medication, sent her home to recover, And at the 30-day checkup, she came back and she said, "Doctor, I don't feel like myself. I can't do my tricks. The medication leaves me all foggy, buzzy-headed." Doctor said, "I'm sorry, Susan. You have to take this medication the rest of your life, or you risk a fatal brain seizure." "Don't worry. You'll get used to it." And Susan said, "No. I will not have my life controlled by drugs." And she adamantly refused to take the medication. Her parents supported her decision. The following year, she was 4th in the state of Ohio and 7th at the national competition in Kansas City. That was many years ago. They had told her never to correlate because of bumps on the head. She probably shouldn't have children. But she went on at age 21 to win a national championship without the scholarship. And she's married and she has 2 children. And a few years back, I sat down over a cup of tea with my good friend Susan, and I found out the source of courage. Courage comes from love. When you give and receive love, you build that intrinsic sense of self-worth that is the wellspring of courage. And I found out by asking Susan herself, "Susan, where do you find the courage to live your life like this?" She smiled and she said, "From you, Daddy, from your love, and from a poem you read to me once." That poem, Invictus, by William Ernst Henley. "Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods there be for my unconquerable soul. Matters not how straight the gate, how charged with sentiment the scroll, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul." Mr. Contest Chair.